It's the most wonderful time of the year, as NHL training camp started last week and preseason is underway. That means that we are getting closer and closer to opening night in Las Vegas for the Avalanche. So, with that being said, today we're going to take a look at some players to watch for, new and returning, heading into this season that I think may catch some people off guard. I do have some honorable mentions with guys like Val Nichushkin, who's going to be returning from his suspension sometime in November, Gabe Landeskog, who is of course expected to return to the ice for the first time in over 2 years at some point this season, and Jonathan Drouin, who signed a 1-year deal to stay with Colorado this season. I think everyone knows that these guys are big names and is interested to see them and how they perform this year, so I don't want to spend too much time on them, but I wanted to make sure to mention those three just in case you're new or just don't follow overly closely. Now, the first player that I think you're going to want to watch is Logan O'Connor. LOC is a pretty well-known name in Denver. He's been with the team since the 2018-19 season, but has traditionally been known as more of just a fourth-line plug. However, last year, after getting a chance to play with Ross Colton and Miles Wood, making up the Roaring Twenties line, he would show signs of true greatness really for the first time in his career. Fans have always loved O'Connor and the way he hounds pucks, but last season he seemed like a completely different player. He still had that gritty, muck and grind style of play, but was able to add a little nice touch of finesse to his game. At one point during the 3-game stretch, from October 17th to October 21st, LOC would score a shorthanded goal in 3 consecutive games for the Avs. On top of that, he would snag his first career hat trick on January 20th in Philadelphia against the Flyers. He finished the season with 25 points through 57 games and did really everything the Avs could ask of him. Unfortunately, on March 10th, it was announced that O'Connor would need hip surgery, which would end his season. His career year was cut short, and he didn't even get the chance to play in the postseason. However, I think he's going to continue to build on what he did last year, and is going to be one of the most important pieces for the Avalanche this year on their quest back to the Stanley Cup. The second player is a guy that Avs fans have been waiting for a while now. Although we did get to see a bit of him in the playoffs last year, he was just kind of thrown into the lineup and didn't really get to show much of what he had to offer, but I believe that's going to change this year. The player is Nikolai Kovalenko. The 24-year-old Russian put up 35 points in 42 games in the KHL last season after coming back from an injury. After their season ended, he made the trip to Colorado, where he played in 4 games for the Eagles in Loveland, putting up 3 points, before getting called up in the series against Winnipeg. Avs fans have been anticipating Kovalenko for a couple of years now, as he's just been dominant in the KHL. Jared Bednar told the media that he was really impressed with Kovalenko on the second day of camp, and that he was just really impressive all over the ice. With Landy and Nichushkin out to begin the season, I think Kovalenko is going to get top 6 minutes on the second line with Middlestat and Lehkonen, and he's going to get to prove exactly what he has right away. Another youngster to watch out for is Callum Richie. Richie was drafted 27th overall by Colorado in the 2023 NHL Draft. Last year, he completely broke out, putting up 80 points in 50 games for the Oshawa Generals in the OHL. That earned him an entry-level deal from Chris MacFarland in the Avalanche this summer. It was reported that he even put on an entire 17 pounds of muscle since last season. Many people believe that he's going to give Ross Colton some serious competition for the 3C job this year, and I don't see why not. He plays a very seasoned style, and him adding 17 pounds of muscle to me just proves that he's as prepared as anybody to take the next jump. And to be honest, if he can compete for the third-line center position, I don't see why he couldn't give Casey Middlestat a run for the 2C role. Obviously, Richie has a lot to prove before he gets any of these opportunities, but the potential is there, and you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on the 19-year-old stud this season as he buys for a spot on the Avalanche. The next guy was probably my favorite pickup of the summer for Colorado, and that's Erik Branstrom. After playing in 266 career games with the Ottawa Senators, he was not given an offer to come back to the Sens, so Chris MacFarland went out and scooped him up for a cheap 1-year deal. I loved this signing, and so did many other Avs fans, as Branstrom is a great puck-moving defenseman that's really going to help the Avs' third D pairing break the puck out of the zone, something that they majorly struggled with last year. The 25-year-old Swede has a lot to prove, and this is the perfect opportunity for him, as he's never gotten to play with this level of talent, and Colorado loves their defensemen getting up into the rush, something that I think Branstrom can have a lot of success with. He isn't going to be a second coming of Cale Makar or anything, but he's going to strengthen our defensive depth, something that we badly need to do. I think Branstrom will hit career highs in the Mile High City this year, and you're not going to want to miss it. Speaking of defensemen, our final player is Sam Malinski, another young prospect for the Avs. Malinski was signed in 2023 after he finished his college career at Cornell. Last year, Malinski put up a very respectable 27 points through 46 games played with the AHL with the Eagles. He was even able to come up and get some opportunities in the show, and he made the most of them, nabbing 3 goals and 7 assists through 23 games. He may not make the opening night roster, as there's a lot of competition for the 5th and 6th defenseman spot. However, I believe that whether or not he's in the lineup in Las Vegas on opening night, he will get the call up at some point this season, and he will cement himself as a regular in the Avs lineup come playoffs. There's still a lot of question marks for the Avs roster this season. There's a chance that most of these guys, like I mentioned, aren't probably going to get to play opening night. But I really think that when they get their chance, you're going to want to keep an eye on them because they will surprise some people. But with that being said, that's all I have today. So let me know who you think's going to stand out this year, who you think's going to break out, who you're keeping your eye on. And with that being said, I'll catch you next time.